As we celebrate the 25th anniversary of the North Texas chapter of Texas Master Naturalists, you might wonder, how did we get here? The answer seems to be, over and over, that someone who loves our natural world and is committed to preserve and restore it, is passionate about an idea, and then volunteers jump on board and make it happen. It all began in San Antonio in 1997 with an idea to train volunteers to help maintain city parks and natural areas. By 1998, Texas AgriLife and Texas Parks and Wildlife had joined forces and brought the program to the DFW Metroplex. Our first class in 1998 was held in the basement of the county office on Marsh Lane and had 40 members. Field trips for the class were led by Pamela Ice. How many of us were introduced to the prairie on a field trip? Sarah Beckelman was our first secretary and later served as president. Molly Haller of Molly Haller Wildscape fame and Jeff Quayle, botany hike leader extraordinaire, were part of that original founding class. It was quite an adventure as Kip Kiphart, our first president, recalled that the state organization was basically no help until the arrival of Michelle Haggerty the following year. In 1999, Michelle dug right in to create some structure for the organization. Michelle's passion was shared by Lou Verner from Texas Parks and Wildlife in those early days, and the wonderful Mary Pearl joined the team in 2014. Our second president was prairie activist Becky Rader, and our third president was none other than everyone's favorite ecoregion and geology instructor, Dan Northcutt. Geology underlies everything. Among the members of our first 6 classes were a lot of folks you will recognize and who still volunteer with us today. Here are just a few. Time doesn't allow giving proper credit to all of the individuals who have shared their passion as master naturalists, but be sure and look at our timeline at the back of the room, where a number of them are mentioned. Our new organization made a splash early. In September 1999, when the Dallas Morning News featured Becky Rader telling about prairie remnants at White Rock Lake, the article let people know that a key component of prairie protection will be educating people about the difference between natural areas and areas that are heavily manicured. This is the very kind of public awareness challenge the North Texas Master Naturalists had in mind when they created the program. They saw a need for trained volunteer naturalists who understand how an ecosystem operates and who can communicate that to their communities. Those 2 prongs, communicate and educate, preserve and restore, remain the hallmarks of NTMN projects. So let's celebrate a few of the ways that our chapter has impacted our community over the last 25 years. Our master naturalists have contributed thousands of hours with well-established organizations like Texas Discovery Garden, Cedar Ridge Preserve, Texas Conservation Alliance, DFW Wildlife Coalition, and many others. But many of our projects began just like our chapter did. One person's idea inspired others, and volunteers rallied round to execute a dream. An early outreach venture from 2000 to 2006 was Prairie Fest, which featured speakers and a rideable longhorn. After a hiatus, Jim Folger reinitiated the idea in 2013 and began Native Plants and Prairies Day, for which the chapter received a State Exemplary Project Award. In 2016, the event featured a live bison. There were 1,600 attendees and 116 North Texas Master Naturalist volunteers. Native Plants and Prairies Day still thrives, and you can volunteer this year for the event to be held in May. Our chapter does a lot to lift up our avian friends. Nathan Taylor has launched many new birders in 20 years of teaching Birding 101. Reba Collins and others participate in the Christmas bird count. Gary Barton and NTMN volunteers help with the National Lights Out Bird Survey. The chapter won an Exemplary Project Award for the Chimney Swift Towers in 2008 and for our bird trunk in 2014. And our bird photographers are amazing. For over 20 years, NTMN volunteers have spearheaded restoration and outreach at Spring Creek Forest Preserve, led by volunteers such as David Parrish, Barbara Bainham, Jim Schaus, Robert Kaw, Henry and Judy Ashner, and so many others. And the preserve is a great classroom in which the encyclopedic Dana Wilson has taught us about botany, the limestone prairie ecosystem, and the identification of vines, invasive plants, and winter trees. It is trout lily time at the preserve, so get ready to hike. Does anyone want to reintroduce campouts into our activities? We've been on retreats to watch meteor showers, and we've gone kayaking. D Magazine extolled North Texas Master Naturalists who care about and care for our rivers, for our streams, and for our waters in a March 2017 article. People like Richard Grayson, Carrie Robinson, and Ben Sandifer exemplify the passion that inspire volunteers to make it happen with our stream team. With work at the Great Trinity Forest, the treasured Pemberton Big Spring, White Rock Creek, and other local watersheds. And you can't think about education and not think about kids. At Lakewood Outdoor Learning Area, one initiative has sparked another. An initial grant from Texas Parks and Wildlife created the outdoor learning area. And Willis Brown obtained an additional grant to add an amphitheater and boardwalk and recruited Ginger Greetons and Imelda Haley to become Master Naturalists and to help out. Ginger led a big chapter project there, resulting in trail improvements, erosion control, and native plant restoration. And newer members like Nicole Jones, Cynthia Jones, Jackie Pavlik, and others have continued to help make Lola thrive. Our chapter also does good work with kids in the Tiny Trekkers program and at Capel Nature Center, including the Junior Master Naturalist program. Two more of our mini projects deserve mention. Honorary member Ned Fritz began taking people to see the buckeye trees on the Buckeye Trail in South Dallas back in the 1970s, long before there was a Master Naturalist program. But Master Naturalists embraced the area over 20 years ago. Led by Jim Flood, a 2004 class project was recognized as an exemplary project at the state annual conference for installing interpretive trail signage and a kiosk. Restoration work on Buckeye Trail has continued to be a popular project over the years under the enthusiastic leadership of Christy Kerr-Leonard, who, along with Amy Martin, led the effort to recognize Ned Fritz's legacy. A class project in 2022 focused on involving the local community with what Christy emphasizes is their trail. And currently, the Ideal Bonton Nature Community Project, led by Rebecca Poston and Shelby Smith, re-engages preschool kids through senior citizens in community engagement with this beautiful neighborhood piece of the Great Trinity Forest. Marcy Haley brought 12 Hills Nature Center in as an NTM project in 2010. Energetic volunteers at 12 Hills like Anne-Marie Bristow, Don Pearson, John Wilt, and Patty Griffin have led amazing prairie restoration efforts and have taught many about the Blackland Prairie. Marcy has been an innovator with programs like the Nature Leaders program with Rosemont Elementary and Prairie Walk Days with St. Cecilia's School, both of which rely on NTMN volunteers. We have enjoyed several big chapter projects, AT opportunities, and prairie festivals at 12 Hills. It serves as an example of how disturbed land can be brought back to prairie and used to educate the community. New projects are added all the time because someone has seen a need, was passionate about an idea, and got volunteers to jump on board to make it happen. North Haven Trail, Tennyson Park, cemetery constellation projects, and our diversification efforts all began this way. There are, of course, always challenges, and we have adapted to those challenges and made changes along the way. Communications are always improving. If you'd like to join the Communications Committee, you can help spread the news of chapter happenings and VH or AT opportunities. We've come a long way since snail mail. We used to mail in our hours, our 60 hours of VH and 12 hours of AT that were required. In 2016, VMS was introduced statewide. Mary Mametov, Director of Volunteer Service Projects, onboarded the system and trained us all how to get on board and use it. And then there was COVID. And we survived, and like everyone else, we masked up and learned social distancing. We figured out ways to stay engaged and were rewarded with grit and distance pins. We all learned how to Zoom and then to hold hybrid meetings, which have now allowed us to experiment and branch out with a satellite location at Mountain View College for our chapter meetings. And recognition for all of this good work has followed. Our chapter has received many awards for our big chapter projects and class projects, as well as for Nathan Taylor's incredible scrapbooks, from which many of today's photos were taken. And our talented artists and photographers have received individual recognition as well. All of this, of course, has been much easier because of our wonderful chapter advisors. 3 of our chapter advisors have been recognized at annual meetings as Advisor of the Year: Fred Burrell, Brett Johnson, and Sam Kishnick. We are so grateful to them for their dedication and for sharing so much of their time, energy, and knowledge to make our chapter a success. NTMN members have made a lasting impact on the lives of the people with whom they have interacted, the people they have taught, and the lands they have helped preserve and restore. So, thanks to all of our dedicated volunteers for serving on board and committees, for leading and volunteering projects, and for your concern for our natural world. Thank you all for doing good things for nature. Thank you all for doing fun things that enrich one another. And thank you all for the important work you do in our communities. What will the next 25 years hold? Are you the next passionate person with a good idea? The next volunteer ready to make it happen? We can't wait to see.